there's a pretty good chance that nobody heard any of that. And I'm sure that was amazing. All right, Chris, we are really, really live now. And the thing that's really awesome is I think that my audio wasn't going through on the live stream until just a second ago. And I don't know if
Okay.
that's just, I don't know if Zoom hijacked the microphone or what happened, but now people can hear us. This enormous crowd that comes from just arbitrarily saying, "Hey, let's do this live." But let's talk about what's going on. This is for who are you helping, and it's a neat little catch-all sort of thing. Usually, people like Chris, they're better suited for the chance encounters, which is specifically for commercial real estate investors. And Chris is definitely in that commercial real estate side, but he's just pivoting and learning about going to the ownership side. So one of the first things I always do in these "Who Are You Helping," Chris, is I ask the guests to introduce themselves. So why don't you introduce yourself for everybody?
Hi, my name's Chris Postill. I'm Canadian. I live in north central Alberta, so north of Edmonton. It's ridiculously cold outside. I think we've got the extreme cold warnings right now at the minus 45 range Celsius, with the wind chill, of course, overnight. So it's only about minus 37, minus 38. So it's not too bad.
Mm-hmm.
But father of three, co-founder of Progressive Plan. And I enjoy ultra marathons and working. So that's that's about me in a nutshell.
Yeah, well, do you enjoy weather that allows you to do ultra marathons, though? Because that doesn't sound like ultra marathon weather to
I
me.
know it's not. We got the treadmill set up, but when it warms up to about minus 15, minus 20, you can get out and train pretty good in that still. But I got a lot of friends who are still out putting 20, 30 Ks on a day in this weather, but that's a bit much for me. So they're hardcore ones though.
Yeah, I'm big on running if I'm being chased. And that's about it. So that's who you are. So as far as the first question we always go through in "Who Are You Helping" is who are you helping professionally? Okay, so basically, some people that's a little bit difficult to convey. I know that at my last job, it took the better part of 10 years to get it, get it in a way where I could explain it to my dad. But so it's kind of handy for some of my guests that we narrow you down and say, look, somebody gives you money on a fairly regular basis, and that's because you're doing something. What is that thing, and who is that person who's giving you the money, so that we can kind of figure out how my friends and I can support your business and what you're up to professionally. So Chris, who do you help professionally?
So we've got three big facets that we do. We do training and mentoring. We do consulting. So we'll step in, we'll help you review your documents, organize your documents. We through various partnerships, we can help basically anything on that front. But the one I'd like to talk about today, the big one, is our subscription-based service for projects teams. And who that helps specifically is essentially businesses or I guess corporations that want to break their long vicious cycles that they find themselves in of always doing things the same way.
Mm-hmm.
And I know it
Mm-hmm.
sounds vague, but I guess I'll dive into it a little more. So we provide a subscription-based service for turnarounds, outage, and projects work. You're paying one rate, and you're getting access to an entire team of subject matter experts as you need them. So instead of hiring an entire team of individuals, so say Dan's cousin is not nothing against your cousin, but let's say Dan's cousin lives here, he needs a job, and we need a warm body in this seat. We're going to put him in because he's done this once or twice before. We're going to put him in this seat for 40 hours a week, pay him a bunch of money. And at the end of the whole project, we're going to find fault and other reasons as to why this thing didn't succeed. And you do that on a larger scale, and you start to multiply those issues and the training, the lack of training, lack of expertise within that unit. And you can start to find how that'll compound pretty dramatically where your issues will come up. So with the subscription-based model, now you're getting, like I mentioned, you're getting access to subject matter experts all over the world as you need them. So with paying the one rate, you may only need a specific role or two for 10 or 20 hours during any given week. Instead of having them pay them 40 plus hours a week, now you need them. You have them when you need them. For the
Mm-hmm.
large clients, so like owners, this would be the Dows, the Shells, the Nutrients of the world. They bring in large amounts of people for a team. They sit around, and your daily efficiency on those job sites is anywhere between 40 to 60%. So on a 10-hour day, they're only working 4 to 6 hours a day. That's been proven time and time again.
Mhm.
So you're already saving that overhead cost, that lost wage time for the ass time, we'll call it. I don't know if you can say that on here or not, but for that ass time, you're losing 4 to 6 hours a day on any given day for anybody working on your job site. So that's something to keep in mind. And then your contractors, so your smaller size businesses, your small contractors, we'll call them, they can compete now with the larger contractors without having to employ an entire PMO office, so project management office. They don't have to hire an entire team and pay all those overheads for a chance at having a successful bid. For the larger contractors, so I don't know, your PCLs, your Malloys, your Worleys, now you can come and actually scale back or backfill those roles that you may not have available because they're either working on another project or you just don't have the resources to pay on a smaller bid. So what I mean by that is, so bids only worth so much. You're not going to pay your top end guys or girls that are super expensive, that are already making you a bunch of money on the large projects, to go take their time away to put them on another project. But now you don't have to give up those small bids. You can chase those work by scaling back on a smaller team as well.
All right. Yeah, that's a beautiful thing. And one of the things that is really jumping out to me, I've got a brand that I like. I know it probably feels like I release a new website every week, but I don't. I do generally go for websites where like it's like a one and done. Like I know I don't need any more upkeep on that. I put real estate as a scam.com in that category. I knew I wanted to get like a dozen or so videos on there of the biggest points to basically, because like so many people, when you hear about any business opportunity at all, they're obviously going to paint it in its best light, and its best light, I don't think, really accurately reflects the reality of real estate. It's there's no shortage of ways to lose your shirt. And I want to get deeper into that a little bit later with you. But the brand that I've got, that I'm building, I've got the .com already. It's collaborativeinterests.com. And there's one thing that I was thinking as far as a partnership on what you were describing there on that subscription, because I got a similar thing with some different services that are better suited for smaller multifamily or commercial businesses that I think would be a really good fit for us. So we can take that offline and make that happen. That'll be exciting. But the reason why I labeled what it sounds like it's going to be an actual coaching platform, among other things, the name I've got for it is Collaborative Interests. And a little bit about my background as far as what's important to, like, why this entire strategy is important and how it includes what you just said is because I started teaching guitar at the local music store when I was 16. I already learned that the stuff in my head is not free. Okay. And, now when you're a contractor, it's much more similar to the stuff that I do with building digital online funnels, right? It's like, the page wasn't there before. And now you can go there and you can put in the things, and the stuff does the stuff. And then the money goes from one account to another. And it's like, hey, cool. It did the thing. And like, that's a great feeling of working with your hands and creating something from nothing. That's very different from just, you make your mouth do this kind of thing and make a bunch of sounds, and people say, okay, here's some money. It's a little bit. Yeah. There's quite the difference there, right? But collaborative interests, because I was watching that industry of music in general, seeing why Eddie Van Halen, used to make like all sorts of physicians look like they were poor. Like how does a musician, a guy who makes songs and going around touring and stuff like that, how do they make tons and tons of money? Justin Bieber, I was saying the other day, if he was in the 2016 presidential election, he would have been the third richest person in that, if you include both sides, the Dems and the Republicans. And so, like, how exactly does that happen? And with construction, I find it's very similar to people who build websites, which everybody, what they're trying to do, the name of the game is you really need those big projects that are going to give the stability to your staff, and like you're going to know that you've got that business coming in, right? But as soon as people get a big project, they're doing these little like one-off day trips,
Yep.
to just line their pockets a little bit while the getting's good. And so basically what happens is neither side really gets the best level of service that they ought to, and because that's a genuine conflict of interest. And this comes into all sorts of like basically every single profession I've found. So I say collaborative interests because I believe that if we partner up and we split the equity, instead of you got somebody who's got enough marketing background to be an effective founder CEO, and they also have the negotiation skills to make like build the business to be bigger. But the thing is, like, I think when what do you want to call it, liberals start throwing stones at the wealthy for taking advantage of everybody else, I think that's really what it is. It's just an owner getting a bigger part of the equity and not paying out like the portion that would come from the actual workers, the people doing the work. So collaborative interests, I'm going like, well, if we do split it as an equity thing, if you do have contractors that are getting equity in the building itself, in general, I know that contractor companies, they're getting about 3% after everything's said and done. And I don't know if you know this, but that's basically what a broker fee is. So a broker is putting in effort, just talking, and the contractors are actually building the damn thing. They're making the same amount. That's kind of scary, right? So, but how do you fix all this? And I think that if you cut your contractor team in on the equity, then that gives them incentive to not cut corners because they don't want to be replacing anything for at least 20 years. Whereas what's the saying? It's like a rich man buys once and a poor man buys three times, something like that. Like talking
Yes,
about like how,
exactly.
yeah, it's like leaky boots was the
Yeah,
example. You
yeah,
end up buying three
yeah.
pairs of boots in the amount of time it takes to wear out a good pair of boots, and your feet end up wet anyway. So just, it's something like that is what's going through my head. So I that's kind of like an aside. I don't know if you have anything to remark on that, or if we want to go on to the next question.
No, I do actually, because that's right. Actually, our one of our core business beliefs. It's who we are as Progressive, and when we founded this company back in 2017, is based on the win-win-win concept. And I say win-win-win because we want the client to win by getting premier service, saving a little bit of cost, or improving their value, whatever that looks like. It's not about saving. It's not about lowest bid anymore. You got to look at it's an investment. It's not an expense. And then when I say win, you're winning for your business because you're earning revenue, you're gaining trust, and you're growing your brand. And then our third win, which everyone seems to forget about, is that poor sod that's out in minus 40 that's doing the work, is your contractors, your workers that are doing it. So I believe what you're mentioning there when it comes to the collaborative situation would be a win-win-win relationship. And so, yeah, that I just want to add that in because that's exactly what our core model is. Ensuring
So I
everybody
guess
wins.
right. So I think it goes back to another thing that you'll see in the circle of like success coaches and people who do masterminds is they'll say it's like, okay, well, you got to get equity, excuse me, because you got to stop trading your time for money. And like, it's a neat idea, it's punchy, it's pithy, but I think it's an incorrect or an accurate phrase. I think what really needs to happen, because like if you're in the commercial real estate business, it's not like you can just disappear, because maybe the GP team won't do a good job. There have been circumstances that I'm aware of where the limited partners, in other words the passive partners, join up together and they fire a GP team. That can actually happen. And so what's going through my head here is you have to be involved. So what actually is a better way of saying stop trading your time for money? I think instead of because you're still selling your time. If something goes wrong in an apartment complex or a commercial property, you have to go do something about it. Me personally, I go into deals where I make sure that we can afford to pay an operating company and like a third party operator, because otherwise Otherwise, it'll be too hands on if things like if you're not lucky. So with that sort of way of looking at the entire situation, I just think that it's a big chance for us to do a lot more in a cooperation than trying to stave off every little bit in the negotiation. But there you go.
I
So
think there's a lack of trust, though.
yeah.
I don't want to hijack, but I honestly, I think it's important to say, I think there's a lack of trust because for so long, excuse me, for so long, and I'll keep it back on the contractor side, and we can relate this to the commercial real estate for sure.
Mhm.
But on the contractor side, you've got companies that have tried to come in now to clients and make as much money as possible and get out. And so they're
Mhm.
bringing in extra bodies, bringing in people they don't need just to bring in time and material or whatever that may look like. So if you're going to do, and then so they
Right.
brought out the lump sum bids and said, okay, we're going to protect ourselves and bring in the lump sum so these guys can't get hammered. Well, now you're getting hammered on change orders. Well, now you're getting hammered on, and the same thing is on a build. You're going to get hammered on change orders. You're going to get hammered on this. But if everyone,
Mhm.
and for so long we've been doing that, where it's like we want to make as much money, we want to pay as little as possible. So everyone's been doing this instead of saying, hey, instead of trying to get out of this for the next quarter and look at our shareholders, why don't we look at the next 4 or 5 years? What's this relationship look like? We're gonna earn, like, for our business model, and I'll say it straight up, like we reduced our overheads on our business model so we can pay more to our staff. So when we go to the clients, we charge competitive rates, and they go, oh well, we're not sure. We said, well, you know what, like, we're right in the market of where you are right now with your current contracts in place, except we pay our people better. So
Mhm.
now you're getting better work. We're basing this on the fact that we're going to have people there long term because they don't want to go anywhere because they're getting paid much better than where they can with the competition. We treat them better. We treat them like human beings, and our investment into them is our investment with the client. So through them, the client's getting a better service, and we're hoping through that, we're banking on the fact that the client's going to say, "Hey, listen, we're getting a better return on our investment through these guys, so we want to keep using these individuals." Whether
Mhm.
that pays off in the long term, time will tell, but I'm willing to bet it will.
Yeah, that turnover, it's so expensive, and the other thing is that it means the private investors are the ones that are footing that bill, and I guess that's part of what I'm realizing or trying to convey here is that I see all these successful people, maybe they were house flippers, some of them, they also had tech backgrounds, I see all sorts of people coming into the commercial real estate industry because they want to accumulate wealth, and like they've real estate has that stuff all ironed out. They know how to syndicate, whereas in other businesses they don't. And I'm not saying all of them, but you get my
Yep.
drift. There's more of it
Yep.
going on in real estate than anything else. But there are a few things. One is I see a bunch of people coming into commercial real estate, multifamily specifically, and they've never lived in an apartment, and it's just like, well, like in general, you should probably have that experience before you jump right in, just so that you're at least able to say, it's like, okay, this is, a minor inconvenience and this is a major inconvenience. Cause I think those are the things that experience only teach. Right. And so really what I'm trying to say, to wrap up that idea of time for money, it's not just trading time for money, it's trading time for one person's money, whereas with a commercial deal, then you're trading your time for money from multiple people, all of the different tenants, right? So it doesn't matter if it's multifamily or if it's self-storage or if it's retail, or office buildings, you've still got multiple tenants, and so that way you're hedging your risks. I worked for a single family residential fund with 9 figures under management. I worked for them for like 6 years, and I was going like, you're still putting in, at that time, it's like $220,000 of investment down, and you're depending on the revenue from one tenant for that. It just makes no sense
Yeah.
compared to, like if you can get it like 80 a door, that's dwindling in a lot of areas right now, but a lot of 110s and all that kind of stuff adored with everything going crazy. But that's what I think the game is. But before we get any further into the weeds, let's go to the next question. Everybody has somebody in their life, or like a social cause or something that they wish they could do more for. So maybe it's that you'd like to clear up more time with your family, or maybe you like coach, or maybe there's some philanthropic work or something like that. But who in your life do you wish you could help more?
Oh, there's so many. A lot of my friends and family. And I'd like to do more outside of that, but I behind the scenes, like, there's a lot of people I know that are like we all know, based on the last couple of years, that are struggling and stuff. But one thing that's near and dear to my heart is and I know, I'm not trying to like get the left hand vote here for politics, but is the stay at home moms and the injured, the disabled in any capacity, and people that are in remote communities that can't actually get into town or work, or if you want them to go to work, they have to leave their homes and go to work. And if you want to leave your home to go to work, that's fine. But again, as I talk about on my podcast, like, and trying to showcase with people, it's a big commitment to leave your family and ask other people to help raise your kids or your dogs or your pets, whatever that is, to go out to site and walk away from your family. It's a big step, and people don't realize, I'm just going to go make a bunch of money and come home and have a bunch of cash to burn. It's fine when you're young and a bachelor or bachelorette, but it's not fine. It gets tougher as you get older. So I would say, for me, near and dear to my heart would be those individuals that just are doing their best but can't access and go to site full time. Like, because there's a lot of opportunity, especially in the remote world, in the digital world. There's a lot of opportunity for these people with high skill sets that don't have to walk away from their kids or they're working at home, that they can raise their kids and do this other job, set deadlines, track KPIs. There's a lot of ways to do this, and it's very flexible, and that's what people seem to be forgetting about in comparing to 3 years ago when we needed them at site, and you're no good to us, you can't work for us. Well, people have this, and that's what we want. We don't always need this. We got lots of this, we need more of this.
Right. Yeah, that's really beautiful. And so, as far as you personally, then the next question is, how can people help you? So, the people in the audience, they tend to watch because they're saying, okay, well, this is how I help the person directly, and this is who I'm helping indirectly with that secondary cause. But if you could rub a lamp and the genie comes out, how could people help you?
This is where I always fail. I'm always terrible when it comes to myself. Just connect and share the good word, I guess. I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on TikTok. They're not asking for much. Pretty self-sufficient on most regards, but just connect, reach out, tell me your story. That's what I want to hear. And if there's synergy, we can help each other. If it's not, we're always going to be able to share each other's posts or comment or engage and share ideas. And that's the biggest thing I found for the last 6 months of LinkedIn for me, where the biggest value has come. It's just getting ideas off other individuals and other creative individuals that think differently. Because you go on social media, and I'm not being a conspiracy theorist here, but it's definitely targeted to your location, to the people that are in your circle, I guess. Actually, there's a right here. So
Yeah, I'm just laughing because that's something that I'm laser focused on. Right.
So the ideas like this, right? The big sort, where the grouping of individuals, this is done in America, but it's good for all of North America. And I think it's probably good, especially for countries or continents like Europe and stuff too. And it says why the clustering of like-minded America is tearing us apart. And so, ideas like that, where we're in our pods, and we basically go back, like a lot of sociologists are discussing now, where we base our ideas on stereotypes based on what our peers would do, not on what we would do or what we're actually thinking. So yeah, just connect. That would be the biggest thing, to get my mind working in a different mindset and open up my eyes to a lot of things that I'm not aware of.
Awesome.
can
And
learn.
you're saying that that LinkedIn is the best way to reach out to you?
LinkedIn and TikTok would be the biggest ways. Yeah, I'm active on both of those. I know people always chuckle when I say TikTok, but I'm telling you, there's a lot of opportunity on TikTok that people are leaving unnoticed. And I'm not out dancing. I'm not out doing food challenges and jumping off roofs. I'm just talking, sharing stories. But yeah, for people that are unaware of TikTok, I'm telling you, there's 800 million users or something on there now, or something along those lines. It's crazy. And the opportunity there for fast growth for people like that. You want quick turnover, quick access. I shared this story on Robert Barry's podcast last month. I'm working with an individual who manages a company over in France that we actually connected. We're on WhatsApp talking because we connected on TikTok. We started sharing some conversation back and forth, and it sparked a conversation. And there's some real innovation there and some opportunities. So, just things like that people need to be open to, right? And that's why the connections are so valuable on social media, to learn more and hear about your story, because you never know. We all got something to share, and there's folks like I'll share her name, Benita Lee, and you've met Benita. She's a trade compliance professional. So as a trade compliance professional and a project controls guy, it's like, well, yeah, okay, I can see some synergy because you're shipping stuff across states and stuff. But we've co-founded with two other individuals, Kelly Kamak and Penny Archer. We've co-founded the B2B Virtual Minglers. So what we're doing now is we're actually hosting virtual events that bolt on to conferences, and we also host free networking events throughout the year. So there's a lot of, it opens up your minds to different opportunities. So I can't state it enough, and I apologize for rambling a bit there, but I can't state it enough about people just connect and reach out and don't be shy.
Yeah, that's really excellent. And I did want to get onto your content, especially on TikTok, because like you remember I mentioned before that I loved how much it doesn't insult people's intelligence. That's my favorite part about it. It's real situations that are utterly ludicrous, but completely plausible because they actually happen. So like maybe you can talk about like a couple of titles or something. I know that tearing apart your work, especially if it has any humor involved, it's one of the worst things you can possibly do. But hopefully you can take a crack at it without it being too much of a train wreck.
No, it's good. It's good. So I do some videos just kind of talking about some stuff about turnarounds and projects and whatnot. But I like to think it's my crown jewel every week on Saturdays. I didn't last week because of the holidays and stuff, and just kind of shut her down and reset. But every Saturday I release a conversation that I've actually had throughout my career in industry. So I worked as a steam fitter in the oil field, refineries, uranium mines, et cetera, et cetera. And then I moved into planning and scheduling and the project control side of things. And then I moved more into the supervision and management side of things and consulting side of things. So it's kind of the natural progression. But throughout that time, like all of us, we've had conversations where the answer is staring you in the face, but someone is so bullheaded where they cannot, for the life of them, envision like what you're talking about. And even though you could lay it out and like, if someone doesn't believe in something, I could come up to you, Dan. If you hated me as a person, I come up to you and say, hey, Dan, here's $5 million, and this will solve all your problems in your world. And all you need to do is shake my hand. You would still say, I don't need your $5 million. So it's crazy to me how people think like that. They can't let things go. But that's essentially where the satire included in some of it as well. But these conversations take place over the course of my career. And it's just, it's mind blowing. Like I said, when you see the solution there and you're talking about it and what people request on some things, it blows my mind. Like I won't go in too far into them, but the one that sticks out in my head right now is the Gantt chart. So if people aren't aware, Gantt chart on a project, you print out the Gantt chart. It shows your activities, shows the duration of where they line up on the schedule. So for anybody that's not aware, just at a high level. And when you use programs like Primavera, the default is to, if it's running late or it's going to be late, it goes red. And so the bars are green typically, or blue if they're completed activities. But if it's going to run late, it turns red. So what I got asked is, like, there's a report was coming out and there's a bunch of red bars a couple days in a row. And so I was working as a scheduler, and I got asked, well, they're losing their minds. They can't handle this. I said, well, okay, then we need to update the schedule. I said, well, they just want it, just keep the dates the same and just change the colors of red to green. And I was just like, for a second, I was blown away. Like, I've never been asked this before or anything like that. And it's not the person that asked. The person that asked was just trying to like save their sanity, because they're like, oh my God. because he's getting
sick
tired of
of
getting
hearing
shit
about
on,
it.
right?
Yeah.
So that's why he asked to save the dates and stuff. But it's the team that asked for it is mind blowing. So I changed the dates, or I changed the color, just the default color on the Gantt chart, left the dates, everything's still showing past the due lights and everything's late and delayed. He brought the report in. They came back about an hour later and was like, yeah, thanks for that. Everyone's happy and everyone settled down. But they didn't even look at the dates of the information that's there. They just wanted to see that it was red and green. So they just became accustomed to seeing that. And that's all they looked at and carried on to the next conversation. Even though the whole project was late and they spent a bunch of money, nobody seemed to care or notice. They just wanted it being green because red gave them anxiety, I guess. So it's stuff like, it's mind blowing.
That reminds me, this would have been about 2009, somewhere around there. I had a student who was a real history buff, and he said that I think it was an ancient Japanese emperor said it, and this kid was it was a teenager or something. He was like going into college or something like that, and he was saying that in Asia, in the East, the facts don't matter. All that matters is the feeling. And the thing is, like, the more I've thought about it, the more I realize is like, no, that's just humans. That's just the way it is. It's like, and that's what's going on with those colors. It's like, no. Yeah, I get the fact that everything's late, but I don't want to feel like it's late. So can you just change the color so I don't feel like the world is falling apart at the seams? This entire project is a dumpster fire. I don't want to feel like it's a dumpster fire. Can you do that?
It's true. You just want to feel good about it, whether it's good or bad, right?
Yeah. Now, some people would call that placating, but I'm not above placating people, especially if they're honest with their own emotions and they realize it's like, yeah, I know that this is actually positively counterproductive and expensive, but I'm going to do it anyway. Cool. Yeah, that's pretty rad. So yeah, we can get more onto that, but so we know how to reach out to you. Now, one of the things you didn't mention as far as ways to help you that I think have to be the biggest ones is maybe you don't know this, but did you know that when people subscribe to my YouTube channel, that helps me?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I've subscribed. Yeah.
Awesome. And so do you have any good reasons for the people in the camera to subscribe to my channel? And then after you're done that, you can give some good reasons to follow you and subscribe to yours as well.
Yeah. So Dan, what I like about Dan's stuff is Dan does a lot of experimental. Good grief, it's not COVID, I promise. Well, it doesn't matter anyways. You can't. Well, maybe they'll say you can catch it through the phone next time. I don't know, but I don't know where that's going. But
yeah, it's probably going to be another booster specifically for Zoom meetings and any streaming event. It's like I've watched somebody with COVID, and now I got it through the wires and cameras and lights and stuff.
Yeah, I won't get into that Canadian joke, but anyways, so what I like about following Dan's stuff is Dan does a lot of experimental stuff. So Dan will jump on, try some things that's out of the ordinary. Good grief. But he shares the metrics. So if you ask Dan's approachable. You can reach out to Dan, like I have, and we've started building a nice rapport. And what I like about it is, like I said, he'll do some experimental things that you wouldn't normally do. Maybe I don't know what's a good example. Like your TikTok, your TikTok, the cussing. The TikTok came out yesterday, the cussing and stuff, and it was a short little TikTok, but. If you follow these things, it's nice because you can reach out and say, hey, how did that do? Or how poorly did you get bad engagement? Did you get positive engagement? And what kind of metrics? So Dan tracks all of that. So if you want to learn more about what kind of videos are connecting, what kind of videos aren't connecting, and some thoughts and content along those lines to help your content, definitely follow Dan, reach out to Dan. Again, it's one of those engagement ones where you can actually talk to the producer or the creator and actually get some good feedback on what their engagement numbers were like too.
Awesome. So we were talking about some other things. I know that we can't keep on going indefinitely, but we were talking about the value of experience, and the reason why that comes to mind. I already mentioned in this interview about my guitar teaching as a teenager and all that kind of stuff. So I was I was hanging out with adults a lot as a teenager, and I was more interested in what they were up to as far as like building a career, ways to success, ways to live without regret, things like that. And one of the things that's got to drive you crazy, especially if you're a capable youth, is when you are being stonewalled or sandbagged, and somebody who's, you know, like 15 years older than you, 20 years older than you, somebody who basically has no really, what do you want to call it, impressive, you know, features about them. Like there's nothing obvious saying it's like, oh, well, this is why this person's earned their seat. It really seems like it's seniority and that's it. And so I wanted to talk about, you know, what comes from experience. I think you're because of contracting in particular, you know, you do get a lot of people who, you know, all right, you're in because you're a warm body, and then it's like when you don't work out, they get rid of you, but they're going to try like heck to make sure that you can follow along and do what you're supposed to, right? So as far as like if there are any young people watching, what can you say as far as what experience brings? Like why is it that young people are discriminated against? And it's easier for you to say that because I'm pretty sure, like I'm pretty sure I'm at least 6 years older than you. I'm in my early 40s.
Mhm.
So
Correct.
that was my guess. Okay, cool. So it's easier. You're more on the in between, and I'm more of a threat of becoming like coming off as an old fogey when I start talking about these sorts of things. So what do you think that only experience can bring?
I think I just I guess there's a couple of things in there. So with regards to the younger folks that are struggling and want to prove their merit and prove themselves, ask questions. I understand you learned some stuff in school. I understand maybe you've done a couple jobs and got a few things. I was the same way. I used to get so mad because I felt I had the experience and stuff to do things. But ask questions, and you know what? Maybe it's not even the best response you get. Maybe not. But that individual you're working with will probably show some more respect to you because you actually took the time to understand where their knowledge base is. And if it sounds crazy, you know what? Take it, wash it off with a grain of salt, or wash water off the duck's back, and you just go and carry on anyways. But you know, test it, try it, because maybe they're right. Maybe it seems like maybe it seems counterintuitive, but at the same time, there has to be that respect level from the older folks that say, "Hey, listen, there's new ways to do things. I need to be an open mind," because that seems to be the biggest barrier. Is from experience, we told us, "Oh, well, I've been doing this long enough." And from experience comes confidence, and sometimes from confidence comes complacency. And from complacency, you just kind of fall into the routine of doing things, and you seem to forget, and you kind of go tunnel vision and say, "Yeah, well, this is how I'm doing it. Doesn't matter." But meanwhile, there's 20 or 30 other people next to you doing it 10 times faster because they've developed new ways, developed new tools, developed new skill sets. So I guess at a high level would just be conversation and communication. And, you know, I think that falls under to the very start of this conversation about collaboration. You know, we all have something to bring to the table. And I think just a mutual respect and understanding that everyone has something to offer goes a long way. So I guess start with that. Start with the fact that assume that everyone has something to offer and you're better than nobody. And then start from there. And I think from that point on, you'll start to find things will stack.
And that gives me a few different ideas. Like one of the things I was posting about a week ago, something like that, was you know, I always had the perception that not many people in my professional life, like through my 20s and 30s, not so much my 30s, but definitely my 20s. You know, I felt I was just one chance away from making it big in something.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt that you know, like that chance just wasn't really given. That opportunity wasn't really given. But I realized that actually, you know, there are a lot of really amazing people who've been very, very generous with their time, and I think it was for the reason you just mentioned. It was, you know, asking questions, paying attention, and then the other thing is being respectful of people's time.
Yeah.
You know, like especially as they become wealthier, because that's the most expensive thing for them is time itself. And if you just turn in, if people get the impression that you'll write a blank check with their time, then they're not going to hang around you that much.
Yeah.
And so if you want to take your idea of making sure that you ask questions, if it's the kind of person who really knows the value of their time, so let's say they're like a billionaire or something like that, and they do shave off, it's like, you know, if there are 4 minutes between meetings, that's too much time. like that type of people. You have to have some things. So an idea for that is like, if you're hanging around with somebody, you have specific questions. My recommendation is make sure that you think it through to understand the secondary consequences. And the thing is, people will notice if they tell you X and then you have worked out that X means this and this, and brings you to a question of why, as a like following that through,
Yep.
then people will be like, oh, okay, you're actually worth me explaining it. Because some people, they take your opinion and they just do one of these with it, right?
Yeah.
And that's no good for anybody. So that's the other thing that comes to my mind as far as that goes. But as far as the business side of contracting, construction, and all that kind of stuff, I think the other thing that that really comes out there is that protectiveness of time, making sure that you're not wasting too much time. But when it comes to construction, you're dealing with these people who they've got all the money that they you'd ever need, and that's why they're investing in commercial properties, especially if you're dealing on the bigger side of things. And so what they're really looking for is to save their time by dealing with somebody who won't let them down. And so that was what we were talking about yesterday, when I was saying that wealthy people are actually cool with having certain experienced professionals sit there and pick their nose in front of, like, playing solitaire or whatever, because they know it's like that person sitting there, like in the back of their head, they're thinking about the task at hand. They understand the variables. They understand what makes a good job and a bad job. So just give them their space, trust the process.
That's right.
And that's the thing I wanted to talk about. So is there something that like a story or something you can think of for that one, of where people are given that extra space, and maybe like tailoring it for a younger audience who just see it and they just don't understand why it is the way it is?
Well, my whole business is predicated on that,
Mm-hmm.
as a remote services company. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
but as far as not excuses, but as far as like examples and opportunities for younger folks to get into that and change that mindset, I guess it goes back to asking questions and a respect level on both ends, and I can't state that enough. If someone doesn't respect you, there doesn't matter if you have the greatest product in the world. So if you're not asking the right questions, if you're not showing up to meetings on time, and I hate to be like, this is an old person saying, and I'll be honest on that, but this is, I live by this, and I get so frustrated and flustered when I can't do this myself. If you're 5 minutes early, you're on time. If you're on time, you're late. So wait for your meetings, and that comes into, especially if it's your meeting. I understand if you've got back to back and you're booked and someone else is booking your time, that's another situation, but try to be there. But if you're booking the meetings, you make damn sure to be respectful of other people's times, and you show up on time for that. And I've been guilty of this as well, and when it happens, it crushes me. I hate doing that. So be respectful of other people's time, like you said. But again, through asking questions, it doesn't make you sound dumb, and that's what I really want the people to understand. Is when you're asking questions, people realize that you're interested in what they're doing. You have a genuine concern into what they're talking about, and maybe it's their product you're helping market. Maybe it's in construction. Maybe you're helping them plan a build, or what have you, right? Maybe you're scheduling their job, whatever. But asking them questions shows that you have a genuine interest and a concern and a stakehold in what they're selling or what they're building. So ask lots of questions. And again, if you can get your answers, and this goes to what you were saying too, actually, being respectful to people's time. If you can get your answers from the next manager, like, for example, you have a ton of knowledge in commercial real estate. So as myself, as a rookie, and learning from yourself and your team of friends and collaborators, I'm okay asking. I built a relationship with you. I'm okay asking you questions. I will ask you questions. I'm not going to go to Warren Buffett and try to reach out and get frustrated that he didn't respond to me. He doesn't know who I am. I don't bring any value to him other than the fact that I want something from him. So there has to be a mutual relationship too. And that's what I mean when I say the mutual respect is there has to be a reason for them to want to help me. And other than the fact that whether that's cash in hand, where I got to pay for their time because they've put the time in to earn that right. and they've got the experience. They're not just going to give it away for free. And if they're giving it away for free in a mentor form, you need to help them in some fact.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up, because that was the other thing I wanted to talk about was in terms of the Dan Does Deal die. And if you go to dandoesdeals.com, you can download your own die. It'll be prettier than this one. It's got the 6 different roles there in a commercial deal, and so you're the contractor role. And one of the things that everybody ends up running into in commercial real estate, especially repositioners, is everybody in this industry has to be sourcing their own deals. In other words, getting properties under contract, or at least they have to have access to deals that accredited investors don't have access to. Because, like, basically, if you're a person who's constantly picking up properties, who are you going to go to every time you've got a new deal? You're going to go to the one who can just, like, snap their fingers and it's done. They're not humming and hawing about, it's like, oh, well, I have to get out of this position in that property, and then I have to 1031 this and blah, blah, blah. Like you just want it to be done and to be simple. So
That's right.
everybody's going to be sourcing properties, and everybody's going to be sourcing capital. And Chris and I went through this die here of the 6 different roles here. And the question that I wanted to get out is like, with all your experience in contracting, and now that you know that extra piece of what the financiers are up to, what are these guys doing to end up getting way more equity and way more value out of a property than the contracting team? My question is, like, how has that changed anything? Like, are there any barriers that you see where it's just like, well, even though I know, it doesn't help because of X, Y, and Z? Is there anything like that? Like, what are some thoughts that you can share as far as like the takeaways from knowing how they actually pull this stuff off?
I think just a larger foundation of knowledge, but that comes from asking the questions and spending the time, investing my time to learn more. Outside of that, I can't think of anything off the top of my head. Just kind of understanding more of the overarching process would be the big key takeaway for me. And I think that's just, again, that's on a personal level. That's not about anyone else's responsibility except my own. So there's nothing really I can think of except for just going out and learning as much as possible. And I think that's, the constant. If we're not learning, what is it? What is it David Goggins got on my board there? We're either getting better or we're getting worse. So, every day learn something, go do something, get up, get active, whatever it is you got to do, but get better.
Right. And so if you are a contractor, what you really should be doing is you should be developing the relationships with the sponsors,
That's right.
and you should be developing the relationships with the brokers, or you have to set up a team that does what brokers do, which is direct to seller. So that's basically it. But is there anything attractive about it? I know we got to split. We only got about 5 more minutes tops, but as far as like barriers go, do you think there's anything really stopping you, or do you think you can just jump in when you're ready?
I think the big thing stopping, for the most part, would be the same thing that's stopping the barriers we face in my own business. Would be it's not how we do things. It's that old mindset.
Mm-hmm.
It's trying to change the mindset to the win-win-win relationship, as opposed to cash in hand. I'm going to take it all and I'm going to walk away, and then here's your profit margin. Piss off, contractor. So I think that's where it's going to be in my opinion anyways, would be the biggest barrier, would be convincing people to think differently. And then, hey, let's all win. Let's all get 5% instead of one person getting 10 and one person getting 1. You know what I mean? What do you need all that money now when you can create generational wealth with partnerships and enjoy it along the way? I guess, one thing and I won't go on a tangent again too far, but the one thing that's always been kind of my motto is like, why do I want generational wealth when no one else can enjoy it with me? Because all I'm going to have is headaches of people coming by, asking for favors, asking for money, when I can help a whole bunch of people and we can all enjoy it together. And why not make generational wealth for all of our kids and everyone that we're in? And I know I'm not saying like, let's be socialists and stuff. I'm saying like your tight knit circle, but let's help each other. Let's collaborate and grow together.
Right, right. Yeah, if you understand how the financing side of things work, then like there absolutely is opportunity for everybody. It's just a matter of like how you want to live your life, right?
Yeah, that's right.
But make sure that you do hop onto TikTok and check out Chris's stuff. Also connect with him on LinkedIn. His stuff is really, really funny. It's not as cerebral as most of this conversation has been. I promise it's entertaining. It's not just like, let's figure out some things sort of thing. I love that you do all that role playing and you switch your costumes based on the different workers on the job site, and I can't wait to make some similar content. I've been playing around with using some of my fully digital AI avatars and
Oh,
doing
okay. Yeah.
dialogues off of them.
Yeah.
And the other thing I've been enjoying is because I have to talk so much on these shows, I also like letting it do the talking, and I just mime along. Right?
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Perfect.
It is very relaxing. I look forward to being able to do some stuff like that. There's one piece in particular that you can check out if you like it. There's a sizzle reel reveal video that I did that's a similar thing of just making up situations where I'm just like it's acting just like you're doing, right? And what it was is because my sizzle reel, it's got a bunch of celebrities trolling me. I wanted to have plausible deniability, so what I did is I made this fake video of a marketing company that I paid, and I mortgaged my house, I sold my sports car, all to dump it into this big promo, right? And I'm sitting there watching as it's a slow motion train wreck, and I'm realizing it's like I'm financially ruined because we spent all this money on these celebrities, and this is something that nobody wants representing their own name.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one that I'd recommend checking out. It's the sizzle reel reveal is the magic word. But yeah, that's some funny ha stuff. It's been fantastic having you today, Chris. You in
Yeah.
the audience, I'm so happy that you joined. Make sure that you like, share, subscribe, follow, comment, all that kind of stuff. Thank you so much for joining me today, Chris.
Thanks, Dan. I appreciate being on. Thanks for the invite.
Awesome. Sweet. See you soon.